AZJ, it's Spike. First of all, question for you guys. How many of you, when looking at this video and the video responses, assumed that I was some redneck that was going to defend Christianity because of my open flannel shirt with no sleeves? That is not the case. Nah, I just like the look. I recently discovered it actually today. Well, I mean, I discovered it earlier, but I recently took my brother's flannel and cut the sleeves off, so I don't know. Even if it does look rednecky, I like it. But on to something that actually matters. And that's the good things religion does. And how it's like you don't need the negative of religion to do the charitable work that comes with it. But not all religions do bad things. And sometimes it's like maybe not the religion itself, more of its followers. I mean, yeah, I don't always agree. I definitely don't agree with a lot of the actions of the churches. By the way, for the record, I myself am agnostic, and the only reason that I do not choose the term atheist is because I think there may or may not be some sort of supernatural power. I don't think it's the Christian idea of God, but I think there may or may not be some sort of supernatural power out there. So, according to Richard Dawkins, I'm currently reading The God Delusion. Maybe I'll change over to atheist after reading it, but I doubt it. But yeah, I'm currently reading The God Delusion. He says that atheists believe that everything is completely natural. Am I right? That there cannot be anything outside of that? And I think there may or may not be. But the chance of it being the Christian idea of God is just as good as the chance of any other hypotheses or theories in the non scientific sense that any religion has had. You know, some religions have great wisdom, but yeah. But as for the service aspect of religion, um, I think it's good, but I also do think that the churches should, or maybe we don't need church organizations. We should have other organizations. See, the thing about religion is there's a good and bad side. See, it actually does preach doing good things, helping others. And for what it's worth, many Christians out there actually care more about that. Many of the world's most wonderful people have been priests, ministers, whatever. Many of them have been because they've taken the positive message. Well, I may not agree with them on the idea of God and all that. Jesus did, set a prime example of how we should treat others, generally. He did some things I don't agree with, but at the same time, he did show love to his neighbor, etc., etc. And that's something we should do. So, in following that example, they're doing a good thing. So, that's actually the good side of Christianity. The problem is when people use it to hate another person. People use it to fight against something, fight against, for example, condoms. It's like they're just blindly following it and taking it too literally. And, I personally don't feel like people should be doing sexual acts unless they're in a relationship. That's my own feeling on it. But it's also not my business, and if they must be doing it, and let me rephrase that. I don't want to be doing sexual acts outside of a relationship. But people want to do that. They should have protection. And the same thing with other situations involving religion and like trying to keep things. Abortion. I'm strongly in favor. I wasn't sure about it, but I'm actually in favor of abortion being legal just because, well, you can't tell somebody what to do with their body. That's simply it. It's not good for people to be able to have abortions, etc. But, you can't tell somebody else what to do with their body. And I do strongly believe that. And other topics, I guess, different. But, yeah, that's my feeling on those things, my disagreement with them. And, yeah, I do think it's bad that religions are doing all that. And I do think that it needs to stop. And that religious people, religious organizations should focus more on doing good for the world, and less on doing bad for the world. But the problem is they believe it to be good. And I guess that's the problem with these churches. It's like, couldn't this be done outside of church? But the problem is, at this very moment, that's how people get it. That's how people get the whole charitable idea. Um, that's how people get the idea of loving their neighbor. Kind of like they wouldn't have it otherwise, necessarily. Not necessarily true, but that's how people are taught in it currently. So the thing is, religion isn't all that bad. Um, but the question is whether or not religion is doing it because because of their religion or in spite of their religion. And I think with the Christians, it's because generally, but it depends. It really does. So I don't know. I mean, these. I could tell you about my old church, because I don't. I agree with the fact that they don't take political stances, and I don't feel a church should, as religion and politics should be separated. Unfortunately, with things such as Proposition 8 and people attempting to get prayer back in our schools, that's not necessarily the case. I say go to a Catholic school if you want prayer, or go to a Protestant school, whatever. I go to a Catholic school right now. They're open-minded, but they do prayer before classes. I don't mind. There's one teacher that can be a little bit dogmatic with his prayers, but that's aside the point. So if you want prayer in the school, go to a Catholic school. But yeah, it's kind of like religion and politics when they mix. I don't have a problem with religion alone, and I don't have a. But when it gets into politics, that's where I start having a problem. And the problem is that's what happens right now. That's what happens all the time. Is religion mixes with politics. People choose their political beliefs based on their religious beliefs, as if that were justification. And the fact is, just because you believe in something religiously doesn't mean it should be the case within a government. So, when it mixes with politics, yeah, that's one of the bad things it does. So my church says we're not going to take political stances. But I have noticed my church has been actually very divided, especially on issues such as homosexuality. There have been. I used to be a Christian Scientist, by the way, and they used to be at many times actually very. There are groups that are Christian Scientists that are actually very supporting of the homosexuals, but there are others who think that it is not so much that it is a sin, but that that sort of thing. Sex should only be used for procreation, so like they shouldn't have sex or whatever, and or like or marriage should be between a man and a woman. They believe that because instead he said it, and yeah, I don't know. When I was a part of it, I was always in favor of not only homosexuals but homosexual marriage, and I actually don't believe in the whole no sex before marriage and no sex unless for procreation, because I think it should be done for love, not just procreation. And those who say it's just procreation, that's the perverted idea, not the do it for love. Because they're not doing it for love, they're doing it for procreation. No. So don't try to call homosexuals perverted, because they're doing it for love and you're just doing it to have babies. So you tell me which one's, perverted and which one's perverse. So, I don't know. Yeah, so, yeah, but my church did not take political stances, and I respected that. So, but my one problem is that they tried to make it so they didn't have to get their kids their vaccination and medicine. And the fact is, for any Christian Scientist out there, if medicine has so little power, why should you care if they have to take medicine for precautionary reasons? If you think that you would be counteracting the medicine with prayer, good. Then you can counteract it and it has no power. You're not relying on it if they're making you take it. So, there's a difference between relying on it and using it because you have to. And there's nothing wrong with using it, just in case, what if your religion's wrong? Think about it that way. If your religion's wrong, you had your medicine, you needed it. So, religion, stay out of politics. Do your charity, but stay out of politics, and I'll respect you. Thank you for the video, ZJ. Peace.